This was me thinking that I had everything that I needed to complete this PC build. All right, so now that we have all of our computer parts here, we're just gonna go ahead and start putting this PC together. After this part of the video, after this day, everything went horribly wrong. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brian. Welcome back to Brian on an Island, where we talk tech and gaming. So this week, or this previous week, I put together my dream computer. It wasn't easy at all. I am familiar with watching YouTubers like Christopher Yee, Nerd on a Budget, and Oz Talks, and I've seen these guys put computers together a million times. I mean, and I was like, you know what, I have everything, I can do this easily. And when push came to shove, this was a very challenging. Now, I am used to putting computer parts together. I built my own previous gaming computer, which was a AMD FX CPU build, and I wanted to step up my game because I needed a system that would be powerful enough to play more modern AAA titles. So I knew I was going to be looking at a Ryzen build to save on cost, but at the same time give me the performance that I wanted. So I scurried over to the Facebook market, and this guy was selling a Aorus B450 motherboard, and he was also bundling a 250 gigabyte SSD M.2 memory chip with a ACT 700 RGB cooler as well. So I was like, wow, this is a really good steal. I need to buy this because this is what I've been waiting for to build the motherboard system. Now, I've bought other parts from this guy before because he is a Microsoft engineer. So he's always selling some computer parts, and I'm always like, yeah, I want that. And I just go and I get it from him, and he's usually a great guy when it comes with price, because he orders a lot of things from Amazon and he usually just wants them gone. Now, this video I might have to do in two parts because this is very long. So I popped over to his house, got the motherboard, got the SSD, got the cooler, and then I had to think about memory and a power supply. I had a power supply that was already installed in my previous computer. It was ancient, but it's a 850 watt power supply, still gets the job done. And I was like, oh my God, why is this thing so dusty? But we'll talk about that later in part 2. And then I had to think about memory, which I got from Amazon. But first, I thought my memory would have worked because I didn't check the specs of the board properly. I thought it was DDR3 memory for some reason, but turns out it was DDR4. And I found a great steal on a Ryzen 5 CPU, I think it was, from CEX, which is our local turn whatever you want into cash store. So I headed over there, got the CPU, and when it was time to put it in the PC, guys, we had bent pins. So at this point, I'm running around in my head going crazy. I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I just spent money on the CPU, and the pins are so bent that it's actually not even giving me a chance to put it in the slot. Like, there's nothing I could do. I looked at the bottom of the CPU and I was like, crap, the pins are bent. And I was like, wait, maybe we can pin If it's just 2 or 3, then we can like fix it. I mean, it was a great steal for the price of the CPU. It was only about 50 pounds, I think. And now I know why it was that cheap. I tried bending the pins back in, but to no avail. So we had to go on Amazon, and we decided to skip the Ryzen 3, skip the Ryzen 5, and we went straight for a Ryzen 7. Got that, and then it was time to put this beast of a computer that you can see behind me together. Now, I'm not sure what the heck was going on with this cooler, but apparently what happened was I had the fans back and forth, and because of that, I couldn't get the little metal bar thingies that holds the fans to the cooler installed properly. It took me an hour to realize it's not clipping on properly, Brian, because you have the fans in the opposite direction. So here I am, finally realizing this, and it's time to get to work. I unwrapped my motherboard, I put it down on the box, that is the area that I was working on, made sure I touched my little metal radiator to ensure that I wasn't gonna short the board or something apparently, because there's carpet on my floor and I was in socks. And I put the CPU in, which was easy. I've watched my YouTuber friends do this all the time. So I know I nailed this part. You just put the the processor in the slot, you slide the notch down, boom, step 1, done. What we had to do next was put in was it the memory? No, we tried to put in the cooler. And oh my God, this cooler is a very good air cooler, but man, was it hard for me to put in. I'm not sure if it's because it was used and the screws were a bit wary on the heads of the screws, but man, it took me about 2 hours playing with that thing. To get it to fit in to mount the motherboard properly and actually touch the thermal paste and the CPU. And I didn't want to over tighten, but the first time I put it together, it just didn't touch the CPU at all. It didn't even touch the little drop of thermal paste that I put in there. It wasn't even doing nothing. So we finally got the cooler in, and then we had to deal with the power supply. Guys, this power supply had so much dust in it because the previous computer that I had did not have a case. It wasn't protected. It was literally just on the floor in my gaming setup, and that accumulated so much dust. It was a miracle that this power supply did not explode while I was using it. So I opened up the power supply and it's like dust galore. I'm coughing all over the place, and I did not even have canned air. I was literally just blowing air all over the place, trying to get this thing to do what I wanted to do. And finally we cleaned it, and that was out of the way. Power supply was done and dusted. We went over, we put in our memory, we put in our graphics card, which was a 1050 Ti. That was donated to Mom, so thanks to you, Mom. And all we had to do was run the test bench. And thank gosh, by the time we went through all of that, the test bench, we posted, and we had to install Windows 10. Now this is where the other trouble came. The person that I bought this motherboard and SSD bundle from on Facebook didn't tell me that the M.2 slot that was installed was not the original M.2 slot, was not the original M.2 memory card that had Windows. So I'm thinking he cleared Windows from this. The CMOS must be wiped. It'll be a clean install. But that is not what happened, guys. The motherboard has 2 slots for M.2 SSD, and I could not get Windows to find the SSD slot at all. And I did not have another hard drive because I spent so much already. I did not want to go on Amazon and order a 1 terabyte hard drive. So I am like, oh my God, why won't Windows pick up this M.2 SSD? And it was somewhere online that I read, if you're buying new motherboards, if the motherboard has been used and there is some CMOS, if you're buying a demo motherboard, make sure that you clear the CMOS before you try to install anything on the SSD. Why didn't anybody tell me this before? I've watched so many, computer build PCs. I've watched Jay's 2 Cents, Nerd on a Budget, Christopher Yee, Oz Talks. Who else have I watched? All of these YouTubers building computers. No one said anything about clearing the CMOS when you buy a motherboard. If they told me that, then I would have known and I would have cleared the CMOS, and I could have installed Windows in 10 minutes. 3 hours it took me to figure out that I had to clear the CMOS. Took out the battery, put it back in, switched the M.2 SSD slots just to make sure that everything was cleared. And after that, when I booted up for the test bench, it booted to the Windows installer. And then we could have finally installed Windows 10. And alas, the computer building gods gave us a break, and I was proud of myself. I was like, oh man, that was hard, but you know what? We managed to get done what we wanted to do. And we ran the test bench, we installed Windows 10, we installed the drivers, we installed some games, and we even got Fortnite to play at some really high frame rates. And I was surprised. Like, I've always seen people talking about Ryzen 7 processors because of the cost and the performance that you can get from them. And I never really understood until I built a Ryzen PC, guys. That was truly mind-blowing. Like, imagine if Ryzen wasn't there to give Intel competition, we would be buying these Intel processors, these i5s and i7s, the 7th gens and the 8th gens, even the 9th gens that are coming out now, at extortionate prices. Like, even though the prices now are bad, they could be even worse if AMD wasn't giving Intel some competition. But anywho, guys, that's how we got to the PC that you can see here behind me. And I will be back to explain to you guys what happened in part 2. If you're new to my channel, please make sure you drop a like and a subscribe. I will see you guys the next time I upload. I have a lot of videos that I'm working on now. And if you're interested in tech and gaming, please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. My name is Brian, and I will see you guys the next time I upload. I am out.